Hey everyone, welcome to the Assisted Living Marketing Blueprint Module number 1. This is a whole series that I've created, and it's about, it's a blueprint. Basically covers everything that we can possibly think of about marketing your business, assisted living business, long-term care business. And the first section, the question that people always ask me all the time is, how do you get your residents? And I'm going to tell you in this presentation. And it's this is such a valuable course. Now, down in the link below, you can find information about it. We also have a 10 steps to open an assisted living facility program, and then this assisted living marketing blueprint is included in that purchase. So for a small fee, you can get the whole class with all this information. Over 20 hours of recordings of me and my wife Cheryl, and then also some other consulting videos we've done with other clients. It's a huge value. So assisted living marketing blueprint number 1, how do you get your residents? Let's get started. So for those of you that don't know, back in 2008, we launched to create Ocean Breeze Gardens, an assisted living facility in Florida. And it's we built it from the ground up. But the buildings were there existing, and we converted them over to assisted living, 32 beds, with the approval of the city to go to 50 beds. And during that time, we built a training business because there was no training. We started consulting. We do real estate consulting, help people buy and sell larger facilities primarily. And we do the My ALF Training. My ALF Training is one of the biggest trainers in the whole state of Florida. We've got over 30,000 user accounts. Facilities send their employees to our website, take training. We do some in-person training. When you want to become an administrator, you have to take a foundation course, and then you have to take a state exam. We've had over 2,000 people go and take the state exam with a very high pass rate. We've helped hundreds of people like you who wanted to open their own facility, sprinkled all over the state, all over the country. People have taken some of our training courses, which we don't charge a lot for. And the reason why we don't want to charge a lot is we want this to be an important part of your education. But we don't want to zap your whole budget, because when you start this business, you're going to need your money. You're going to need it in a lot of ways. And the one way we can help you is by keeping our price down, but giving you really, really high quality information. And you're not going to get this kind of information for the price that we're charging. And we really just want to make sure that you don't get into something that you shouldn't get into, that you're not aware of all the nuances and pitfalls or financial obligations that may fall on you. And just to give you an example, I talked to somebody yesterday who found a guru selling people on a program and ended up spending upwards of $30,000 on consulting services. Now, we offer way more information in this program than you'll get from that. Now, if you need more personalized help, we do have consultants that can help you, more individual and more step-by-step. But we did form the 10 steps to open an assisted living facility. And also, I just want to mention, we also have hundreds and hundreds of facilities that use our services. They contract with us on a monthly basis. They have accounts with us. They're members of ours, and they send their employees through our over 50 courses of training in our library. Alzheimer's training, service training, compliance training, health training, you name it. So your marketing and advertising efforts, it's the lifeblood of your business. If you don't have any business coming in the door, you're out of business. So it really has to be a main focus of what you do, and you need to continuously do it in order to maintain that stream and that flow of residents. And it's, the problem with assisted living, let's just use a 20-bed assisted living, okay? I'm hoping you're opening a 20-bed. That would be ideal. Some people start at 6 and then they work their way up to 20. But let's just say it's a 20-bed ALF. and you're running marketing and advertising. And at some point, if you're good and you know what you're doing, you're going to be full. And the market kind of ebbs and flows. You have down times in the market and up times in the market, just like tourism, for example. And during the up times, you're going to fill up if you're doing it right. And your max is 20. So if you're full and you have people coming to your door and you're like, well, I'll put you on a waiting list, these people aren't going to wait around. They have to solve a problem. So your cap is your limitation. Your bed capacity is your limitation. And so a lot of owners, they stop their advertising or stop their marketing efforts, because when you're turning away business for 3, 4, 5 months in a row because you're full, you kind of feel invincible. And then what will happen is you'll have some people move out, or you'll have some people pass away, and they can happen in clusters. And then all of a sudden you got to start your marketing and your advertising efforts back up again. And there's a lag time between that and keeping your beds full. So unfortunately, you want to be able to do something that's sustainable, consistent, reliable, because it's so important to your business. It's the lifeblood of your business, and without it, your business will shrivel up. Having a pipeline of business, of leads, also allows you to charge a higher price. And that may mean that, and also you have your pick of the type of residents that you choose from. If you have a resident that's not a fit for your facility or is a disruptance to the other residents, you may feel obligated to keep that resident, and it may impact your current residents and future residents when people come by for a tour. So you want to make sure that you have a constant flow of people, that when somebody comes to your door, let's say your room rate is $3,000. And the person comes to your door and you have 3 vacancies and you are just desperate to fill a bed, just fill a bed, plug a hole. And you might take somebody in at $2,000 and they take that spot. And then 3 months later, somebody comes along that would have taken that bed when you're full and is willing to pay $4,000. And that's a big difference, $24,000 a year difference. And it'll affect you, with what you can do for hiring, for paying people, higher wages, for retaining people, for bringing in better activities, better food, higher insurance, more marketing dollars. It all affects you. Not saying that you shouldn't take those people in, that sometimes that's what you need to do. But having a constant flow of people gives you the confidence to say, you know what? I'm not sure if I should take this person, because tomorrow I'll probably have another phone call, or later in the week I'll probably have another phone call. You'll have the confidence to know that your pipeline is full and it continues on. And that's when you can pick and choose your residents. You can pick and choose the type of clients, price range you want to service as well. So when I think of advertising and marketing efforts, I think of farming. But first of all, you're planting seeds. Every single thing that you do, you're planting these seeds out there. And sometimes, some plants grow really fast. Some plants grow really slow. Some plants will grow into a tree, but you can't take the harvest for a year. But that doesn't mean that, you want to eat the fruit, but you have to take the time to plant the seed and nurture it and talk to it. And a lot of business owners are very busy. They're busy with all kinds of tasks. I mean, a corporation breaks things up into small segments and everybody has their tasks to do. But when you're a small business owner, it all falls on you. Whether you're even, meal planning, compliance with state agencies, marketing, meeting with families, hiring, firing, HR, you're doing all of those things. And some people are better at some things than others. And so what you have to do is you have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And you also have to ask yourself, do I have more time than money, or do I have more money than time? And using that knowledge based on what we teach you, if you have more time than money, then maybe you'll lean more towards your marketing, your network marketing efforts. If you have more money than time, then network marketing is harder for you to do, to break away. I mean, if you're working in the facility, working shifts to get the thing going, or you're even working another job, juggling the two, then network marketing is going to be a lot harder. Then you have to understand that you might have to lean more towards advertisements. And so you have to know what your place is, what you're good at, what you're capable of doing, and then implement your strategy based on those strengths and weaknesses. What is my budget? What can I afford? And then from there, we come up with a plan to help you customize your marketing and advertising efforts. So let me take a sip of my coffee. So when I think of farming, I think of a real estate agent, and they pick an area. Let's just say this large community with 5,000 homes, right? Or even a small city or a zip code. And they say, you know what, you're going to be an expert in this particular market. And so they start a process of what's called farming. And farming, just from the sound of it, it's a long-term project. You're not going to get instant results. There may be a random anomaly of an instant result. But primarily, they would pick an area, and then they would slowly market it. They'd walk around the neighborhood, knock on doors. They would concentrate all their marketing efforts in that neighborhood, just listed, just sold postcards, or hey, if you're thinking of selling, or free market analysis. And they just consistently send marketing material to this area. And the idea is in the long run, you're going to start to get a return. I think that with the exception of like some of the techniques we're going to talk about later in this webinar, a lot of your efforts are going to be like farming. And you need to plant your seeds. You need to fertilize. You need to, talk to your plants when they're growing. You need to like weed them. You need to make sure that you need to nurture it. It takes a lot of time, and then you get to harvest your crops. Now, and then you just repeat. You put it into a repeat cycle. So this is the thing. You have to develop a plan that works for you so that you don't go broke. I mean, you can't, if you literally only have $300 a month to spend on advertising, for example, or marketing, because those cost money too. I mean, you have to pay for networking events, maybe marketing material. Then you have to come up with a plan so that you don't go broke. Don't spend it all in 1 month thinking that you're going to get something. Because once that's done, it's done. And like I said earlier, do you have more money than time? And then we have to customize it. Or do you have more time than money? And a balanced approach. A balanced approach would be $300 a month for 12 months at $3,600 versus $3,600 in the first month and nothing later on. When you're launching your business, you may have a higher launch cost. Like you may allocate more money towards a launch process. And we talk about that in the 10 steps to open your assisted living facility. But a lot of people are short-sighted when it comes to advertising dollars. And I know I get into this further in the webinar, but just a quick idea is that one resident gives you $3,500 a month, right? And if you spend $300 a month over the course of a year and you get one resident from that marketing efforts, right? Then it pays for itself in a year. And it may be that sporadic. It may be one from this source, one from that source. And you want to make sure that you don't stop your advertising. You may scale it back. Okay. You may have go into conservation mode, like a bear hibernating during the winter, but you always have something burning, something going on to sustain, to make sure that you're still producing leads, because just like that, you could have 3 vacancies. And that's the worst thing that you could have happen, especially a smaller place, because, 3 vacancies of a 6-bed place is 50% of your occupancy. Now, 3 beds on a 21, or 20 is only 10, 15%, whatever it is. So some people, like I mentioned, you understand your role. Where do you add your value? Some people are just very good at administrative work. They're good at managing paperwork. They're good at HR. They're good at these different things. Some people coming into this business are actually caregivers who will provide care. And if you provide care, don't discount that. That's a huge plus because you can offset your labor costs when you only have a few residents. So here's an example. You take in one resident. You work all the shifts. The resident's giving you $3,500 a month. You're at least not losing money. You're probably covering all your mortgage, your rent, you're covering your utilities. You might not get a paycheck, maybe a small paycheck, but you take your second resident in and you're making a good profit. Now, I know that working 24 hours a day and all that, but when you only have one resident, it's pretty easy, to do. But so some people are caregivers and they're going to take that role. Some people are good at cooking meals and all these other things. Some people are good at marketing. You'll find your role, and then you have to make up for the parts that you're not good at, or the parts that you're not going to fill that role. So people, I know you're sitting here and you're thinking, well, of course this makes sense. I'm going to advertise, I'm going to market, I'm going to do all these things. But every single day, I'm talking to people who run facilities, and they don't do any advertising, and they don't do much for marketing, and they rely solely on like placement services, which is one of your sources, and we'll talk about that in just a few slides. I know you're thinking, when is he going to talk about how I get my residents? But people say it's too expensive to advertise. Let me use this example that I used prior. I think it's too expensive not to market, okay? So you have a 6-bed facility at an average of $3,500 a month. That's $21,000 a month in revenue. I'm going to highlight that. Okay? If you have a 30% vacancy rate, that is $6,300, and a 20% vacancy rate, $4,200, and a 10% vacancy rate of $2,100. At a 10% vacancy rate, right, even the low vacancy rate of 10%, it's still $25,000 a year. So I just gave you a scenario where you run a $300 ad and you plug a hole that could save you $25,000 a year. It's too expensive not to advertise. People only look at it, as far as the short term. 3 months at a 30% vacancy is $18,000 lost revenue. It may not be that you're losing money, right? You may be making money, but it's revenue it's product that you didn't sell. So a 30% vacancy rate for 3 months, $18,000. Maybe budget ahead of time and you can cut down that vacancy rate a lot more. So before, I'm going to talk to you about the understanding the psychology, like where people are when they're thinking about assisted living and they're shopping for these services. So most people don't plan for assisted living. I mean, they're not really thinking about assisted living. They're thinking about retirement. They're thinking about all the things that they're going to do in retirement. They're going to go golfing. They're going to go vacation. They're going to get an RV. That's retirement. But when you mention assisted living, people don't want to. I don't want to talk about assisted living because I'm never going to need assisted living, and my mom is never going to need assisted living. I'm in denial. I just want everything to go on the way it is. I don't want to talk about my mom getting dementia or needing services. So they're not searching for these services ahead of time. And what happens is there is an exception. You will get people who come and look for the future, a very small percentage. But most of your clients are going to come when they need the service, like pretty quickly. And so they're really on a wait list. 10 years doing the business, anybody I call back who was on my wait list already found a solution, or they would hang up and say, why are you calling me? And it's like, well, you wanted to be on the wait list. But most of the time they found a solution because they had a problem. They had to find a place for mom. Mom was being discharged from the rehab facility where they said she couldn't go home. I'm visiting mom on vacation. I realize she can't live alone. I have to go back home to work. My flight's on Tuesday. We have to put mom into a place by Tuesday. So some of these are really, really quick solutions. So the timeline is quick. The urgency is there. And what you want to do is be present when they're searching for those things. So they add your facility to the list of facilities that they're going to tour. Prior, when we first started, there weren't that many facilities, so the list of facilities was very small, and it was easier. But you have to assume there's going to be a lot of competition, and all you can ask for is that you can be on the list that people look, because they're going to have 5 or 10 places they're going to look for. Some of them won't have vacancy, some of them will have vacancy, some will be out of their price range. Some might not want a smaller environment, some might want a bigger environment. So these people will all fit into these different categories, and you need to get on the list, okay? And in order to be on the list, you need to be consistently marketing. Now, you could have one resident that moves into your facility and stays with you for 10 years. I mean, that would be the most ideal thing. I'll give you an example. Our first resident, his name was Gene, and when we opened, the daughter moved her father to our place because it was a lot closer for her, and so she moved him in, and he didn't live much longer. He had a health decline. He was older. He stayed with us for 6 months. But the prior facility that he was with, he was there for 10 years. 10 years. I want the Gene that was in a facility for 10 years, not the Gene that was there for 6 months. Because now you have to reproduce all your effort, all your marketing. And, sometimes Gene, when he's at 10 years prior, is not going to pay the same as the Gene that needs a lot more help. But you need to, those are the kind of ones that you plug a Gene in there for 10 years. Then if you're a 6-bed place, you only ever have to worry about filling the place 5 other rooms. Imagine if you fill the other 2 or 3 rooms with other long-term residents, and you're not going to have to worry too much about vacancies. Skip the slide. So the one thing you have to keep in mind, you have to think about your competition. And I assume most of you watching this are going to be owner-operators. Some might be bigger. You could even have a 100-bed place. We've had clients that are 100-bed. But the larger communities have big budgets. They have a lot of beds. I mean, we're doing the math here. You're doing 6 beds at $3,500. Do 100 beds at $3,500, right? That's a lot of marketing money. So for them, $10,000 a month is nothing. It's essential. That's just in ads. They have national advertising campaigns, local advertising campaigns. They have big budgets to everything, Facebook ads, you name it. But they also have a full-time marketing team. So on top of the ads that they're running, the local ads, the national brand ads, they have a full-time marketing team. Could be one person, could be 2 people. There could be a regional marketing person. Each person probably makes, on average, some higher, some less, let's just say they're spending $50,000 on a full-time marketing person. And they're spending, I put in here $3,000 a month on ads, but let's say they're spending $3,000 a month on ads. They're spending $80,000 a month on marketing and advertising for their facility. The marketing people are out there in the community building relationships. The ads are running continuously. And not saying that you have to do that, but you should replicate it to some extent. You're not going to have a full-time marketing person, but you're going to be doing the marketing, or your spouse, or maybe one of your fantastic employees that you promote, something like that. But that's just to give you an idea that every day your competition is marketing to your market and stealing your potential customers. In fact, I tell you, I would even get residents would get mail to our facility. I think it was because maybe they got mail forwarded to them, or family, they still had mail going to their old house that they still had, and then the families would bring the mail to them. And the larger communities would be sending like every door direct mail marketing pieces or mail marketing pieces. So the residents would always show me like, oh, look at, like they'd show me this facility that was marketing to them and they were living in my facility. And when you get a little unhappy resident, they'll just say, I'm going to call this facility. So they're marketing to your residents and your family even when they're in your place. So anyway, so the one thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to diversify your marketing and advertising efforts. Now, I know that when I go through the list of different ways you get your residents, you're going to be overwhelmed. In the training program, what we try to do is we try to find the best things that work, and then, from our historical past, and we help you with that. And it could be something small, $100 a month, it could be something bigger. Where do you allocate your money? Where should you spend your time? And then we help you be consistent with some of the tools that we give you. Being consistent with advertising is easier than being consistent with networking or, creating content. It's easier to run an ad consistently than it is to put forward effort, depending on how busy you get. So you have to, your plan may change as you get busy. Once you get up to, let's say you have 20 residents and you're busy doing all these things, you have a lot less time than you have money. So you may shift more towards the advertising side of things. But then you have to make that conscious effort to say, when I started, I had more time than money. And now I have more money than time. I was only allocating $300 a month or $500 a month or $600 a month or $1,000 a month in the beginning. Now I'm not out there networking as much. I should be at the $2,000 a month or whatever the budget is for you, but you have to bump it up so that you can stay busy, right? Or grow. And if you have a pipeline of business, you may be able to extend the building or enclose this part of the building or build a new extension, or refinance or take out buy a new building. So I am going to, if you remember one thing from this video, never, ever rely on one source for your leads, for your business, ever. I talked to a gentleman recently, and most of his business came from a placement service. And for many years, he did really great with this placement service. They have a lot more placement services now. That's one of the ways you get business. But a placement service is like a real estate agent. And when they find you a resident, they bring you the resident, and then you pay them a referral fee. And the referral fee is, on average, probably equal to 1 month's rent that you have to pay like when they move in. But if you ever have a falling out, like this gentleman did with this placement service, the placement service is not going to bring you any business. And they may be the only, it's unlike a realtor, right? You piss off a realtor or you have an argument with a realtor, the realtor, there's 100 other ones that you could do business with. So you call back Jane and Jane's like, well, I'm not doing business with you. You were rude and mean to me. Then you just call the other realtor, Tom. Tom will list your house. Tom will sell your house. It's not like that with placement services. There really are just a few, and they control the market. And if you have a bad experience with them, they could just not bring you business. Or if one of the placements that they put in your facility has a bad experience, whether it's true or not, the family could have a relationship with them and say something negative, or they could hear something from somebody else, and they're not going to bring you any business because then their reputation's on the line. So now you've totally dried up your whole business. And the same is true with advertising. Advertising changes all the time. When Google AdWords first came out, I mean, if you were an elder law attorney, you could buy a click when people click on the ad for like a few dollars a click. Now it's probably $200 a click. So if somebody searches for, Orlando accident attorney, and you click on that ad is costing that advertiser $200 a click. So things change, and I'll give you another example. I have a friend who's an attorney, and they built their business on Yellow Pages. Built it. I mean, you've all remember the Yellow Pages. So they had the front cover. They had the biggest space in the Yellow Pages. They put their magnet, and they had the back cover. They had a magnet on the back of every Yellow Pages that went out. They had all the business you could possibly imagine. All they had to do was have the biggest spot in the Yellow Pages. And once you had that spot, you never gave it up. And you were sort of locked in. Well, guess what happened? We all know what happened. Their business model, the way they got their business, dried up. Luckily for them, they had built a huge pipeline of referral business because of it. But there was a gap. Now they're starting to get on board with some other options. But this gap where you go from, everybody using Yellow Pages to like nobody within a few years, their business totally dried up. Same thing could be said for newspapers. Same thing could be said for magazine subscriptions, everything that you can think of. So diversify your efforts and don't rely on any one source. And then you have to build, in this business, reputation is everything. Everything. If you're getting into this business and you think that you can just be an absentee owner, or it's like a better version of a rental property or an Airbnb or something like that, you're going to set yourself up for failure, because this is a high-level service business. And people expect a high level of service when they're putting their mom or dad with you, just like you would with a daycare. You want somebody there responsible, somebody who's responding to issues, somebody that they pick up the phone and they call you and they say, hey, do you know if my mom, got up and had breakfast? And you say, hey, let me go check. Hey, Betty, your mom's on the phone. She wants to know if you want to get up and go to lunch with her. Contrast that with every time I call you, you're like, oh, I don't know. Why don't you call the facility? Or, oh, I don't know, I'm not there. Or you get a call from somebody who says, hey, I'm at the facility. Are you around? I'd like to talk to you. And you're like 2 hours away, or you're not even available every time. Every time they come by to visit mom, you're never around. So you have to build a reputation of being great. And every single person, and we talk about this in one of the modules in the networking and referral business, I think it's module number 6 of the Assisted Living Blueprint. And just a reminder, we have a course down below in the link, and it's 10 steps to open an assisted living facility. Very, very low price for what you get, over 20 hours of training, including this whole blueprint module. And then we have sample marketing forms and advertisements and all kinds of great ideas in there, cutting edge stuff. So when you have to be great, okay? So you have to be great. Otherwise, none of this will work. You can drive all the business to you that you want, whether it's from this source or that source. But when people come, your place is dirty, it smells, the staff aren't nice. They go to your Google reviews, you have a bad listing, you have negative reviews on there. It all works in harmony together. And if you're not putting together the best product you can and always improving it and always paying attention to it, then all of this money that you're spending here and your marketing efforts that you're doing here, you're marketing a bad product, right? So you have a coffee shop and you get people to come to your coffee shop and the coffee's horrible, watered down, tastes burnt, service is bad. Nobody's going to come back. So then you have to constantly find new people that have never heard about you. You want to get repeat business and referral business. So, okay, where does your business come from? Your business comes from everywhere. I know that's not what you want to hear, because a lot of people think like there's this magic pipeline of business, but it literally comes from everywhere. And I'm not even going to be able to list all of the sources of business, places I've gotten business before. There are places you get more business than, and some places you get less business. But ultimately, every single person is a potential referral, whether it's their neighbor, their cousin, their friend, somebody in the business. But let me just go through some of this list here. Employees of other businesses. Here's an example. You have a assisted living and somebody is receiving hospice services. The hospice employee comes in to take care of their client on hospice, working with you, and they get an intimate knowledge of how you run your business because they're there. They meet the other staff. These are other caregivers, other nurses. They interact with your staff. They get to taste your business and what it's like, and they are a huge referral source because they're out in the community talking to people, meeting families at their home who their loved ones on hospice, and they say, "Do you know a good assisted living facility?" There's one. It's down the street. I go there all the time. It's beautiful. The staff are nice. Okay? So other employees of other businesses. That also includes even the cashier at Walmart. If you're going into Walmart and buying your groceries and you have on your button or your name tag and they see you buying all these groceries and they're like, why are you buying? You're here 2 days. Why are you always here? What's going on? And you're always nice to everybody. Every single person, every person you come into contact with. Advertisements. Advertisements can range. I have a whole nother slide on that next, okay? And it talks about all the different types of advertisements that you could have. Now you could spend money really bad, like decorating your house. You can spend money, but you choose bad things and it's ugly and gaudy. Nobody likes it. You can spend money really bad on advertising. You can just put $10,000 here, put a 2-page ad in this magazine. Everybody's going to come at you wanting you to advertise your service in their product. And they're all going to tell you why you need to do it. Advertising is a huge part of your business, and you need to be willing to do it and ready to do it. Internet marketing ranges, it covers so many subjects, but essentially internet marketing will cover like search engine marketing, content marketing, vlogging. It's creating content, putting it out there online, answering questions on forums, creating resource guides. There's a lot of ways you can do internet marketing. Social media is huge. Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, Nextdoor app, you name it. Facebook is big. Building connections with other businesses through there. You can run ads. You can run ads through social media as well as part of your advertisement. Placement services are a big part of your business, and you need to accept that. You need to keep the door open. You need to build a good relationship, but they're only going to bring you people if you do a good job. And they may not even bring you business until they've heard about you, your reputation. So depending on your market and where you live, that may be different. They may have a need where you open. That's why in our program we talk about picking the right location, because we have a client that's opening in an area where there is no availability. So before he's even open, he's getting placement services, bringing him clients, which he will happily pay the placement fee. So you gotta know your location. If you go into an oversaturated area and you call a placement service or you try to register with them and you say, "Hey, I'm opening an assisted living facility." "Oh, good. What part of town?" "Over here." "Well, we already have like 30 facilities and they're all partially vacant." You know what I mean? Like, you need to go through our program to make sure you're picking the right location. And we go into really a lot of detail on that. Friends and neighbors. So let's just use an example of a neighbor drives down the street, sees your sign, knows you're there, drives down that street every day because they drive to the post office and they see your sign, they know you're there. "Oh, assisted living." You know those people that there's some people that are really aware of things in town and some people that are really not aware. So we're being in business and entrepreneur, we're always aware of new things that are opening. "Oh, look at that vacant spot. It's going to be filled. What's it going to be?" And so the person's driving down the street, sees the sign all the time, and they are walking the dog in the neighborhood, and a family member comes out from their neighbor and says, "Oh, my mom needs to move into assisted living. Do you know of any?" And they say, "Yeah, definitely. I know a place that's right down the street. I drive by it all the time. I always see families outside. You know, they do trick or treating. You know, so neighbors, friends, neighbors, families, they come from all over the place. Healthcare providers, doctors, hospitals, rehab facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and social workers. Those are a big part of it. They're harder to get into because it's kind of like, you know, they don't know you. If you go to them and say, hey, we're new assisted living, they're probably not just going to give you business because they don't know who you are. They get bombarded with a lot of people that come in, and so those are very important. And placement services go and market directly to them. Some of the local ones that are better. So they do get a lot of placement services, get a lot of business from those places, but you know, doctors' offices at some point become aware of you as well, especially ones that are local in your vicinity and area. It is good to get to know some of those doctors' offices and find out. We talk about coming up with creative ways to you know, network with some of these providers in the program. Government and city services. You're going to be very involved with the fire department, the police department, and agencies. The fire department is going to, and the paramedics, they're going to become very aware of you, and the police department. So they're very plugged into the community as well. All the city services, you know, the building department, the zoning department, city council members. You want to just become friendly with everybody and understand that, you know, try not to be adversarial and confrontational with anybody. Let me move this up a little bit. Nonprofit groups, AARP, Veterans of Foreign War, support groups, associations. Like there's a lot of nonprofits out there. Meals on Wheels. There's a lot. So get to know all the nonprofits in your town. Try to figure out how you can volunteer, be a part of their organizations, help out, and you will get business from networking in that sense as well. And then networking and third-party services are huge part of it. So I would say if I could break all of this up into percentages, I would say your goal would be to get 20% from placement services, 30% from your own advertising efforts, you know, 15% from networking, and then everything else will come from the other items. But the biggest portion, if you had a pie chart, which I should have made one, the biggest portion would be advertising, and then maybe networking and placement. But ideally, you'd like to eliminate the placement services. Let me move my face. Whoop. So the different types of advertising it's pretty immense, and you know, you're not going to do all of these. You're going to pick a few things, and you're going to work with those few things within your budget. Just to name them, though, there are magazines, newspapers, publications, directories, bulletins, TV, radio, Google AdWords, display AdWords, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Did I mention YouTube? And you're going to have a lot of people coming to you saying, you know, advertise in my bulletin or newspaper or publication. And you have to, it's a good idea to listen to them and listen to their pitch. Maybe they have a product that works for you. Ultimately, though, of all of these, and in the program we talk about the best ones, but ultimately it's going to be Facebook ads, maybe a little bit of newspaper, maybe a little bit of maybe bulletins, Google AdWords. But it varies so much. And I don't want you to waste your money on things. And you will waste your money on things, and you're going to learn what worked and what didn't work. That's just part of it. And sometimes you try things. You're always going to try new things. And I think that the most important thing is that you're constantly learning and constantly keeping the door open to things that are coming out. But understand that somebody's trying to sell you on something. For example, you'll have a newspaper that comes out with their special edition healthcare resource guide, and it's amazing, and so you got to listen, but there's always going to be a new pitch, because these services are always trying to think of a new way to sell more advertising space. But be wary, but keep your door open, keep the open lines of communication, and sometimes you need to try some things. But you have to understand that your competition, let's say you've made it and you're consistently full and you figured it out, but you can't be complacent. You need to constantly keep learning, because things change, things evolve. Your competition could be a millennial that's coming into the market that is very, very savvy with social media. They were born with the internet. They know how to market themselves online, and you don't know how to market yourselves online. And those people that are just they're like social media superstars, and they just have it, and they just post anything, and people comment, and they're just really good at it. And you need to be aware, and you need to have a little bit of effort in everything. And this new marketer that could be your competition down the street or whatever it is, they could be using some new technology that you're not even aware of, like Nextdoor app, which is going to be rolling out their local advertising, which you have to be aware of. And in the program, we talk about that as well. TikTok, it's fun. Snapchat, who knows? Who knows where the new business is going to be, but you need to be aware of it. So I would definitely say the one thing that you could do is, form some sort of group, or a group of people that you can meet with, and think about new ideas. Come up with ways, what's working in your industry, what's working other places. I think I have create a networking group, a brainstorming group that thinks about these things. So the one thing in the program we talk about is a success blueprint. It's basically a worksheet. And the worksheet, let me see if I can skip down to what it'll look like. Yeah, it's a worksheet like this. And basically, you'll set your goals, how many my year-end goals, and then you'll break it down to monthly tasks, and then you'll have your 5-year plan, what you would have accomplished in 5 years. And the thing is that with the success checklist is you can't be afraid to start. In fact, we'll talk about this slide. Don't be afraid to start. Everything takes practice. My son, the other day, he was practicing clarinet. He's learning it. And he had a really hard song. And it was like a computer algorithm, since a lot of it's online now. And he plays the song to the computer program, and the instructor has it set to a really high bar to pass rate, and it can hear his notes. And if he's not playing the song properly, it gives him a low score. And he's getting he has to get an 80%, and he's getting 65, 70s, and I can hear him getting frustrated. Oh, this thing is hard, and he kept practice, and it probably took him 20 times, and he finally passed it. And then the next day, he had another song, and he aced it the first time. And we went on a bike ride, and I told him, I said, the thing about what happened was, I'm proud of you, is that I know it was frustrating that you weren't getting it right, and you kept making mistakes. But the thing about life is, if you're getting frustrated, that's a good thing. If things are easy and you're not getting frustrated, then you need to ask yourself, maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Maybe I'm not pushing myself hard enough. The same thing like weights, for example, right? If it's really easy, you up the weights. If music is really easy, you go to a harder song. And if you are not a good content creator, like posting on Facebook or writing articles or taking pictures or those type of things, then just start with 1, and then go to 2, and then go to 3, and then go to 4. I mean, we make videos, and a lot of people don't want to make videos, but it starts with 1. And it starts with not really caring what people think. And it takes practice. Everything takes practice. Even your ads are going to take practice. The first ad that you make may not be the best, so you always want to refine it. You want to consume ads, pick up magazines, look for other ads that other facilities are running, start to become visual and see what they're doing, pick up on things, see if it caught your eye. You have to learn. You can't just send it off to the newspaper company and then have their design company make something for you. You want to consume the content that you're, as if you're a consumer, and see. If you see an ad for another facility, I saw an ad for a facility that was pretty good. They were running a video on Facebook, and the owner comes out and he's like, "Hey guys, I want to welcome you to my facility. Let me show you around." And there was like a video tour on a Facebook ad, and I thought that was great. So if you see stuff like that, you consume it, you learn, you watch, and then you try to recreate and mimic, and maybe there's ways that you can improve it. And you have to remember that there's people that are doing the same thing to you. So you never are complacent. You are always constantly improving. So I mentioned creating a group of people. And in your networking that you meet, you're going to meet these people in the industry. They could be from other segments within the industry. But see if you can, when you go to your meetings, like, hey, what's working for you? Like, what kind of marketing are you doing? Maybe ways that you can co-create, work together. You're going to start planning an event using the success checklist. You're going to pick a date, and you're going to follow through, and you're going to do 1 to 2 events or whatever your goals are for the year. And the event could be a friends and family party for your facility. It could be a neighborhood block party. There could be a lot of things that you could do. It could be a speaking event that you sponsor and you bring somebody in. We talk about all those ideas that you can use to build your roots in the community. And then you follow the success checklist. You open it up every week and you just check them off. Make sure that you're doing it, and at the end of the year you're going to have reached all your goals. And if you're looking at swimming across, the ocean, the English Channel, it looks really hard. I mean, you got to look at short segments, right? So you don't say, hey, I want to create, I want to have 200 pieces of content. Look at this other website, this other facility, and I go to their website and they have like articles about, helping seniors, and they have all this content. Well, if you think you're going to get there in 1 week, you're not. You have to break it down into bite-sized pieces. So the 200 pieces of content, let's just say, and 24 networking meetings and 36 site visits, you break it down. 36 site visits is what? 3 a month. And we talk about site visits. Networking events. Site visits are like just going to visit other places, whether they're other businesses or other facilities. Go get yourself out there. Dropping off brochures, those would be considered site visits. Networking meetings, 2 a month. They vary. It could be healthcare related. It could be non-healthcare related. It could be Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce has a monthly meeting. They have a couple of events that you can go to. They have social hours. And then I think this should be, sorry, I'm editing as we go. But, we're real here, it's not fake. Yeah, so like this is a year-end goal. This is your year-end goal plan. This is the ideal. 200 pieces of content, 24 networking meetings, 36 site visits, 24 print ads, daily internet ads. So the ads are running daily. Develop 4 key referral partnerships, 1 house party, 12 testimonials, and 100 house tours. That sounds impossible unless you break it down into smaller chunks like this. Right? So we say 200 pieces of content is 16 pieces of content per month, which we break it down even further in the success checklist to 16 is only 4 per week. Right? And what a piece of content could be is just a picture. It could be a picture with a heading you post on Facebook. That's a piece of content. Right? And at the end of the year, you're going to have 200 pieces of content that could go on your website, could go on your Google My Places, could go on Bing Places, it could go on Facebook, it could go on Instagram. But if you're not producing content, you're not putting it anywhere. 24 networking meetings is only 2 per month. 36 site visits, 3 per month. 24 ads, 2 per month. Daily internet ads are running daily. 4 referral partnerships is 1 every 3 months. You're going to make those by just being in the business and networking. Your house party is only 1 time a year. Testimonials is 1 testimonial per month. So anybody that gives you a good testimonial or feedback or anything like that, that should be it's on your checklist. Check it off once a month. I got my testimonial. And then you do 100 tours a year, which would be 8 tours per month. Is that right? 8 times 12. Yeah. 8 tours per month. How do you get 8 tours a month? You do all the above. If you get 8 tours a month, there's a percentage of those tours that will convert to become long-term residents. Let's just say 1 in 8 decide to move into your facility. That's 1 a month. That's 12 residents a month. You probably don't even have 12 vacancies, and if you do it right, you won't have vacancies because you pick the right people. But if you do have a vacancy, it will fill fast if you have 8 tours a month. What does this look like over 5 years? If you do if you set this year-end goal in 5 years, you'll produce 1,000 pieces of content, 120 networking events, 180 site visits, 24 print ads, daily internet. I don't even know how many that is. 365 times 5. 20 referral partnerships, 5 parties, 60 testimonials or reviews on your website or Facebook or Google or all those places, and 500 tours. That's how you get your business. That's where your residents come from. There's no magic place. There's no magic source. Anybody who tells you that there is lying to you. It takes effort, it takes money, and it takes knowledge. And, I just gave this to you as part of the program. I really encourage you, if you're serious about opening your own assisted living facility, that you buy our 10 steps to open an assisted living facility. Click on the link below. Go to myalfconsultant.com. Find us on YouTube. ALF Training. You know who we are. My name's Calais Stockstill. And I really look forward to hearing from you soon.